Lesson 66.
Yo quiero.
Well, this is kind of an exciting lesson, Antonio, because we're learning a brand new verb, right?
Oh, yeah, Bill. And now we can make some interesting sentences with that.
That's right, Antonio. Some of the sentences we've made up to this point, they're good for educational value for learning, but sometimes the exercises can be kind of repetitive. So it's fun in a book like this to learn a new word because you can do lots of new things with that word.
Oh, yeah.
As we say here in the text, with the last verb that we learned, yo tengo, we learned it sort of piecemeal. In other words, we learned one form at a time, and we learned one form in each lesson over the course of, 6 or 8 lessons. But with yo quiero, we're not going to do that. We're going to learn all 6 present tense forms all in one lesson. So we're going to move a little quicker than we did on the last verb. And as we examine this new verb, it's really good for us to think about the personal endings that we add to the ends of verbs, because that's something that all Spanish verbs have in common, these personal endings. In the first person singular, we have the letter O as our personal ending. Of course, not always the letter O. Sometimes in the first person singular, the verb will end with the letter Y, like soy. Right, Antonio?
Yes, Bill, that's correct.
In the future, we'll see some other verbs where the first person singular ends in a letter other than O. But the vast majority of the time, the first person singular form of a verb will end in O in the present tense. In the second person singular, very often the verb will end in ES. In the third person singular, it will very often end in E. In the first person plural, the ending is often EMOS. In the second person plural, EIS with an accent over the E, although in some verbs the E does not have an accent there. And then in the third person plural, EN is often the ending. So these personal endings are an integral part of the Spanish verb system, and you should really be very familiar with them. So in the future, we're going to learn some variations on these verb endings. They're not always going to be exactly what you see here, but we'll get to that in the future. In the meantime, let's just do the best we can to memorize the different forms of yo quiero. Antonio, why don't you take us through these forms of yo quiero before we jump into our exercises?
Okay, in the second chart here, on the bottom chart here on lesson 66, first one, yo quiero, tú quieres, él quiere, ella quiere, nosotros queremos, nosotras queremos, vosotros queréis, vosotras queréis.
And as you can see in the chart, something like vosotros queréis, that's something that you would only hear in Spain, right, Antonio?
Yes, that's right. And we'll learn the other forms later in the book. And the last one, ellos quieren, ellas quieren.
Okay, so do the best you can to memorize these forms, and let's turn the page and try our exercises. In number 1, we have papá, that means dad. Then we have yo quiero, which means I want, that's first person singular. And then we have un gato, a cat. So, number 1 says, Dad, I want a cat. And number 2, él quiere means he wants, that's third person singular. 10 means 10, and dólares means dollars. So number 2 will say, he wants $10. And number 3, nosotras queremos means we want. That's first person plural. Notice how the nosotras has the AS ending. That means it's feminine. It's referring to only females. And then un carro means a car. So number 3 will say, we want a car. And number 4, tú quieres means you want. That's second person singular. Cinco means 5, and dólares means dollars. So number 4 will say, you want $5. In number 5, ellas quieren means they want. El perro means the dog. De means of, and mi hermano means my brother. So number 5 will say, they want the dog of my brother. That's a literal translation, but it would sound better if we said, they want my brother's dog. In number 6, mi hermana means my sister, tiene means has, and un perro means a dog. So number 6 will say, my sister has a dog. In number 7, mi perro means my dog. Tiene is the verb, it means has, and hambre means hunger. So literally, number 7 will say, my dog has hunger. But of course, this is an idiom, so we translate it idiomatically as, my dog is hungry. In number 8, yo tengo means I have. Sed means thirst. That's an idiom, of course. So the first part of the sentence would say, I am thirsty. Then we have the word pero, which means but, and then tú no tienes, that means you do not have, and sed, again, means thirst. So number 8, idiomatically, will say, I am thirsty, but you are not thirsty. In number 9, mi hermana means my sister, tiene means has, and $12 means $12. So, my sister has $12. In number 10, ellos quieren means they want. El dinero means the money. And then we have the word de, which means of. And then finally, mi papá, which means my dad. So literally, number 10 will say, they want the money of my dad. Of course, it would sound much better to say, they want my dad's money.